What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Good morning to you. Hopefully you're enjoying your Tuesday. What's going on here? What am I doing? I don't work on a Monday anymore? Lazy ass. I'm getting, getting too comfortable. That's what it is. Getting too comfortable. That's the problem all of a sudden. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you very much for being here. I think I mentioned this to you guys. This will kind of be the theme here. Probably once a week or so, we'll take a day off, something along those lines in the off season, as we get all the way through free agency and everything else. So appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel if you've yet to subscribe. Let me give everybody a quick rundown what we got going on for the show today. Got a packed show. Could have easily done a show yesterday as far as content goes. But obviously, we'll let this spill over, and got some NBA games to react to as well. All right, Spurs win Game 3. Oh, my God. Could you imagine? They're down 3-0. My Lord. By the way, there's also just a part of me that just wants to see more basketball. Like, I don't want the season to end. You know, I think people people understand where I'm coming from in regards to that. There's a little piece of this. It's like, hey, can we get a little more? I need a little more juice here. When is the NBA draft? What do we say? Like the 24th or something like that? So that's still a couple weeks away. Come on, NBA. Come on, San Antonio. We'll talk about last night's game. Entertaining game. Wemby was really good. A couple of the main Knicks players I thought were very average. Mike Brown strategically basically saying we lost this game because of the referees without saying they lost the game because of the referees. We'll talk about Game 3. You know, I mentioned this last week. I'll get back into it today as well. I mentioned last week, what does Luka want? Like, we're spending all this time talking about LeBron and Reaves' contract and what's Rui going to do and this and that. We're talking about all these people when the most important player on the franchise, we're not asking the question of what Luka wants. So in today's show, we're going to spend a little time talking about Luka, the cornerstone and the franchise player that's supposed to bring the Lakers back to the promised land. I don't know if he's going to. We'll find out. The NBA is not the same. It's not exactly how it used to be. It's a lot more challenging. You need a good front office. You need a lot of good players around you. There's a lot of steps to doing it. But he's been to an NBA championship. Obviously, he did it with the Dallas Mavericks. Today or this morning, we'll look at some of the needs specifically for Luka Doncic. There was some sound I didn't play last week that I'm going to play today. It was on James Worthy, and Worthy basically saying, here's how you build around Luka, giving his opinion on it. So we'll play a little bit of that. There's been a few articles that have been written, some free agents who fit with Luka. So this is going to be a little bit of a Luka Doncic centric of a show. Some fits around Luka Doncic. So we'll spend a little bit of time on that. Charles Barkley, I think it was late last week, was giving his thoughts and his opinion on LeBron. He has an idea for LeBron, where he should go, what he should do, why he should basically leave the Los Angeles Lakers, allow Luka to start running the team and give him an option or give him an opportunity in a different conference. We'll spend a little bit of time on that as well. I did see something, Run It Back TV, that crew talking a little bit about Austin Reaves. Man, the run last week, we had Bobby Marks on Friday. Nice of him to join. I took one of the clips here from Bobby Marks saying that he doesn't think Austin Reaves is a max player, which I think is wildly accurate, and I don't think is disrespectful at all to Austin Reaves. But that got some steam. Let's just say that, especially in the YouTube front, just kind of shows, obviously how most people feel right now about some of the content around the Lakers and specifically about Austin Reaves. We'll hit on some NBA news topics, and then we will call it a day. So appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you for being here. We'll get to a couple of comments here. Doing a little cup of coffee. What we got here, right there. There we go. Life's Better Buzz. It's a good name. Got some coffee going here. Also got some tea. So we got some dual action going on here. take a look at a couple of the comments before we get the show started, and then we'll get right into the thick of it here. All right, see what we got here. Let's see what we got here from our people. Let's see. We got some. Let's see a few of these here. What does Luka need? Learn how to play defense. Ooh, Jazzy coming in strong. I only got to the first point. There's like 9 points here. Let me go 1 point by point. Learn how to play defense. Learn how to share the ball without jacking up unnecessary threes early in the shot clock. Stop complaining to the refs. Damn. Jeez. Take it easy. The middle of the offseason. People got families. All right. That's okay. I get it. You can definitely find things to point at in regards to Luka. By the way, a lot of these I don't necessarily disagree with. I mean, look, is he going to start all of a sudden being a great defender? No, he's not. So you got to build a team around him where, obviously that's not going to be a strength. Learn how to share the ball without jacking up unnecessary threes early in the shot clock. I think if there's one player you kind of give a little bit of a green light towards, it's probably Luka. But I think in today's NBA, it's shown. You can use Jalen Brunson as an example, and they've been balling out, but not the most efficient player, not exactly going to a couple games away from winning an NBA championship. Can it get done? Sure, it definitely can. Stop complaining to the refs. I got no defense for that. That one is a little bit annoying here. Happy Tuesday, Slee, on my second cup of coffee starting work. All right, cheers to you, brother. Cheers to everybody. Let's get the show started. So I'll come back to Luka. We'll spend a little bit of time on it, but I do want to hit, obviously, we're in the heart of the NBA Finals here. So let me just hit on Game 3 here real quick. 2 games played since the last time I did a show, Friday night and then last night as well. We'll hit a little bit on this Spurs Knicks game, and then we'll get into some Laker topics. Yeah, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I mean, obviously they had to win last night. Now, did I think that was going to happen? I didn't. I was listening to the game. I didn't get a chance to watch the game on Friday night. Yesterday I was watching. I didn't get a chance to watch the game on Friday night. So I'm driving from San Diego and I'm going up to Los Angeles, and I'm listening to the whole broadcast. What was I listening on? I think it's Sirius XM I was listening to. And they're going to play the local broadcast, which is kind of cool, right? Like you're still hearing the local broadcast during the NBA Finals. And I'm listening to it. And San Antonio looks like they're dead in the water. They come all the way back. And the Knicks look like they're just in the midst of this unbelievable collapse. They go from up 14. And San Antonio just, specifically Victor Wembanyama, and I thought Mitch Johnson, kind of add a couple of these other players in, choked away the game at the end. Choked. I thought they genuinely choked away the game. The Knicks were trying to choke away game 2, and the San Antonio Spurs one up them and said, well, if you think we could choke it away, or if you think you're going to choke it away, we'll choke it away even worse. And we know what happened, the turnover and the foul by Wembanyama, the San Antonio Spurs, or Wemby missing a couple shots late, and the Spurs take a 2-0 lead. I thought that was it. Like, that's it. The series is done. You started seeing ticket prices go up. I don't know if you guys saw this. I was doing my radio show on Friday, and before my show started, it was like $7,000 to get in. By the time game 2 was done, it had gone up north of $11,000 to just get into the Madison Square Garden. They're up 2-0. Everybody's thinking, in New York City that this series is over. Yesterday was impressive from the San Antonio Spurs. Like, let's take a quick second here. You go down 0-2 on the road, or you go down 0-2 at home, and you got a road game that you're walking into at the Madison Square Garden. They haven't had an NBA Finals game since 1999. They haven't won an NBA Finals since 1973. The hoopla around the game, the anticipation around the game, a chance to go up 3-0. The San Antonio Spurs, one of the youngest teams in NBA history to make it to the NBA Finals. And the Spurs win game 3 on the road. That's freaking impressive. You got the president of the United States that's going to be there. Everything you could possibly think of. and the San Antonio Spurs walk into New York and win game 3, that was very, very, very impressive. And, if you look at the box score, which I'm not going to pop up here or anything like that, obviously we're not doing a post-game show here, but I'll react a little bit to the game. The box score is exactly how the San Antonio Spurs would win a game and exactly how the New York Knicks would lose a game. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. Wemby, great. 32, 8, 6, 3 blocks, 2 steals. Only took 18 shots, was 11 of 18 from the field. But how they won the game, Stephon Castle with 23, Dylan Harper with 13, 9, and 4. By the way, Dylan Harper's a freaking stud. This dude's real deal. I mean, this guy does not look like he's a 20-year-old intimidated by the moment. I've seen a lot of articles here, people going at Mitch Johnson. They're like, you better get Dylan Harper, figure out a way to get this dude in the games and keep him in these games. Missed kind of some clutch dagger threes yesterday, but still a really nice player. De'Aaron Fox with 12, Julian Champagne with 12, Devin Vassell with 11. They had 6 guys in double figures, all 5 starters off the bench, plus Dylan Harper. That's how the San Antonio Spurs are going to win. And on top of that, Wemby obviously had a really nice performance. Wemby became the second youngest player in NBA history to drop 30 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists in the NBA Finals. I think only Magic was younger. So just a incredibly impressive performance. Again, was it pretty? Probably not. Does it need to be pretty? Probably not. You go down 0-2, you lose your first 2 games at home, and you walk into the Madison Square Garden under those circumstances, and you get that win on the road. I don't know what the hell you guys want me to tell. And that young of a team, that was impressive. That was really, really impressive. On the Knicks side of things, it's kind of interesting. And now, not to say that this is not, this isn't normal or anything like that, but Jalen Brunson, 32 points, but again, 25 shot attempts. You know what's crazy? Cat only took 10 shots. OG Anunoby had 28 points and only took 13 shots. I get it. This is kind of Jalen Brunson. This is the world that the Knicks live in, and this is how Jalen Brunson has really been the difference of getting the Knicks. Of course, you need a lot of players to get to the NBA Finals, and Jalen Brunson's an absolute stud. But it was interesting yesterday. You had a lot of other guys like Cat only taking 10 shots. That should never happen. OG Anunoby, if he's feeling it like that, 9 of 13 from the field. He should have taken 18 or 20 shots because he was feeling it the way he was. Just a really, really impressive win for the San Antonio Spurs. And like I said, like if you're looking at just the box score and the stat line, that's the way the San Antonio Spurs are going to beat the New York Knicks in a game. And that's how the Knicks are going to lose if they allow 6 guys in double figures the other way, if Jalen Brunson's inefficient, if Cat's only taking 10 shots and scoring 11 points. Like that, you had to have kind of a lot of things go the San Antonio Spurs way, but they stay alive. That's probably the best way that I can put it. I'll play one thing here. I want to play Mike Brown. By the way, Wemby did say this on their win. What happened late game? How come you guys were able to do it? Because they've blown a couple of big leads. Even in game 3 yesterday, I think they went up pretty early. They were up by 10 or 12 or something along those lines. And then next thing you know, at halftime, the Knicks are up 7. How the Knicks didn't close out that game? You're up 7 at halftime after being down 10 or 12, and you're at home, and you're up 2-0. Maybe that was kind of a combination of the Spurs finding a way and the Knicks feeling a little bit of the moment. Wemby on the Spurs late game execution, he said, less mistakes, more control. That's how they won. I want to play one thing from Mike Brown, and then I do want to get some comments, or I want to get some, obviously get your guys' reaction to it, and then we'll start moving on to some other topics. Mike Brown said this, just to kind of give everyone an idea. It's very common, it's very normal that teams and coaches are trying to position their squad to get calls or they're trying to do things referee related. But Mike Brown kind of lit into why they lost and how he thought they lost. Take a listen to Mike Brown.
First of all, I want to make sure I get something clear. Coach Mitch Johnson and the Spurs, they won the game tonight. They came and took the game. But I will say this: I never thought I'd be in the NBA Finals and see a team get 24 free throw attempts in the second half to another team's 8. And I don't think I complain much about officials or the fairness when it comes to the free throw attempts. San Antonio is a great team. They're a great team. Okay, it's going to lower our odds big time if we play game 4 and in the second half they get 24 free throw attempts to our 8.
We can stop right there.
We were fouling.
We stop right there. He just goes on. He basically says maybe we're fouling, but they were fouling as well. So there's kind of just a quick little breakdown. I saw this and Mitch Johnson post game on Wemby. I'm sure Victor has numerous sources of motivation. I don't think any of us are surprised or expected anything different from a strong performance. He was phenomenal. Obviously the rest of their squad there. What was one other thing? I think, and we don't have to play it, but I saw Jay Williams this morning on ESPN's Get Ups basically saying that there was a lot of empty calories in Jalen Brunson's game in game 3. He got some criticism. I think some people were also saying that he was trying to be the MVP rather than trying to win a game. So the San Antonio Spurs find a way to make this an interesting series. Do I still think the New York Knicks are in the driver's seat? I do. They took obviously the first 2 games in San Antonio. But I'll be curious. Tomorrow is kind of, again, this is very much can dictate the series. If New York wins, then they've kind of done their job. They're up 3-1, and they got 3 games to win 1 game. And obviously they're in the driver's seat there. If San Antonio can find a way to win 2 in a row in New York, it becomes a completely different story. And then obviously all the momentum goes to San Antonio. Okay, let's take a look at some of the comments here, and then we'll keep things going. See what we got here. Slee. Sick and tired of the discourse on refereeing. These people have reputations on the line. Do people really think they are risking it to favor a team? I mean, look, a couple of things. And this you could walk away with. How many times have you already seen Victor Wembanyama shoving Jalen Brunson's head? Like just a straight stiff arm to Jalen. And Wembanyama's arm goes for it's like by the time he extends his arm, 7 seconds have gone by. Jalen Brunson ended up from the 3-point line to the sidelines. You have that clip that's being there. You have, obviously, listen, 24 free throws to 8. That's a huge discrepancy. So it's almost it's the job of the head coach to try to make that into, hey, you better call this. We better be getting 24 free throws in the next game. So I think that's part of the job of the head coach. Do I think a lot has been made about the referees in the postseason? Of course I have. I mean, you guys, but I think most people agree there was a lot of hate that went towards Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and a lot of that was kind of referee-based. Do I care for it? I definitely don't. Brunson, biggest chucker I've seen in a while, but he's got the green light. Like, that's kind of how they will live and die by Jalen Brunson. And if they end up winning an NBA championship, all people are going to say and remember is that Jalen freaking Brunson found a way to win an NBA championship for the first time in New York since the early 70s or almost the mid 70s, something along those lines. Part of his game is that. You're right. Part of his game is that. Too many challenges, slowing the game down. The refs are not perfect. Let's get another one here. Refs were pretty fishy in the 4th. Well, guys, we're not trying to extend a series. Sometimes, you got to do what you got to do. They were clearly reffing in Spurs' favor the last 2 games. Spurs in 7. Brunson iced out Cat to try to win. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I go back to something I said a little bit earlier. If Brunson's feeling it, but I mean, listen, I go back to game 1 where he wasn't feeling it, and I think he had 31 points and 32 shot attempts. So there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that as well. Harper is better than his dad. He's a star in the making, future all-star. He's a freaking stud. Definitely is. Harper on rookie contract. Meanwhile, Reaves getting the max. Spend 65 to see. Oh, can you imagine people, some of the money they were spending yesterday, all to see their team lose? The funny thing is that wasn't even like a clinching game. Like if you told me it was game 4 and they're up 3-0, then I understand that more of just spending whatever it is. That's not even a clinching game. Like what are people, let's just say they won yesterday's game. I went to game 3 where they didn't clinch it. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I don't know if that gets the job done for me. Let's get a couple more in here, and then we'll start moving to some Laker topics. If Wemby gets another flagrant, he has to sit out a game, so they aren't going to call anything on him. Yeah, I saw some reporter for the Spurs trying to show in that play where Brunson's basically holding his jersey, and that's why he pushed them off. I'm like, yeah, I get what you're trying to do here, but probably can't push him off. Brunson's so annoying, not efficient, doesn't play winning ball, wants to be the man. Dude, you're the point guard, yet all you do is look for your offense. What assists is he averaging, or how many assists is he averaging this series? I don't disagree. Like, that's not, my natural type of point guard that I would want running my team, but that's his job for the team is kind of built around Brunson saying, hey, you go to work. Everybody else will kind of find theirs. And what am I supposed to say? They're 2 games away from winning an NBA Finals. I mean, it's been working. So let's put it that way. It's working, and maybe it ends up being the difference of them winning a championship or not. I look at what Wemby's response is, similar to Shaq back in the day. They take a lot of punishment that goes unchecked and vilified when they retaliate. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting comp. Obviously 2 completely different styles of basketball. Shaq used to get beaten up. I mean, everyone was like, I know exactly what they ended up saying. They're like, well, they can't call a foul every single time for Shaq. And Shaq was so dominant, he was so big, that there were a lot of times where Shaq wouldn't get calls where he should have got calls. Wemby, stylistically, it's different, but he does get pushed around. Sure. And I'm sure they're telling the Josh Harts of the world, or the Cats of the world, or the Mitchell Robinsons, or the OG Anunobis, anybody that switches onto him or that guarding Victor Wembanyama, push his ass out of the paint. He's so long and he's thin that, yeah, they're going to try to rough him up a little bit. Okay, so game, by the way, John, thank you for the super. Appreciate you on that one. Game 4 coming up tomorrow, probably same time, I'm assuming. I know at Madison Square Garden, so I'm assuming that 5:45 tip-off, something along those lines. And we'll find out if we got a real series or not. I still think that the Knicks probably won the series by winning game 2, but I also didn't think that the San Antonio Spurs would win game 3 on the road. So this has kind of been all over the place. And the only way, obviously, they get a home court back is if they win tomorrow. So we'll see what eventually happens on that front. Okay, I got to jump around. There's a lot of NBA Finals chat. We got to milk the NBA Finals here. Once it's gone, it's gone. Yeah, I mean, shit. The technically, let's see. You can have the finals be done by, say, go 6 games. What are they going to play? I think Saturday it would be game 6. They go Wednesday. No, is that game 5? No, they're extending the series. No, they'll milk this thing for a little bit. So we'll have a little bit of time here before the draft starts. All right. I want to play something for everybody. All right. Let's kind of shift gears here and talk a little Luka Doncic. All this attention. I get it. I understand why we spend a lot of time talking about Austin Reaves and why we spend a lot of time talking about LeBron and a lot of time on the front office and what the Lakers should do with that role player and this role player and everything else. Completely understand it. One of the things that's been lost, I think, through this whole conversation about what the Lakers do this summer and what players they bring back and everything else, I think part of the thing that has been lost is the conversation about Luka. And I think part of the thing that's been lost is, what does Luka want in all this? And in a weird way, there has been less conversation about Luka Doncic, the cornerstone, the franchise player for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think this is kind of now to start churning a little bit and ask the question of, all right, I get what LeBron may want or what Austin Reaves may want. What exactly does Luka Doncic want this summer? What does he want from the Lakers? What is he hoping is accomplished, obviously, this summer, and to put the Lakers in a position where they got a chance of coming out of the Western Conference? Maybe realistic, maybe not. I think most people would say that no matter what they do this summer, it's probably not realistic that they come out or they're one of the favorites in the Western Conference because of the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. I want you guys to take a quick listen here because James Worthy was on with Kevin O'Connor on the Kevin O'Connor show. And is this part of, let's see here. Is this part of Yahoo? I think it's part of Yahoo Sports. So he's on the Kevin O'Connor show and they're having a conversation. James Worthy is specifically talking about how do you build around Luka and how do you put together a competitive team with Luka? And then I'll kind of start getting into the conversation about what are some of the things that the Lakers have to prioritize to make sure that they're maximizing Luka Doncic. Take a listen.
Shooters, particularly those who can hit the three consistently, guys who can defend and not necessarily, hide him in the defense, but take a little bit of pressure off of him. They need a big who can protect the paint and also receive lobs and be a force defensively. And they need players around him who can also create. They need an Austin Reaves. LeBron was able to do it at 41 to take some pressure off of Luka when they start to blitz him. Teams will figure out a way to disrupt a guy like Luka or a guy like KD. So he needs guys, and I think he loves the team because he loves what Austin does when he doesn't have the ball. But they need what Oklahoma has. When he's out of the game, they need a bench that can come in and put up 40, 50, 60 points from time to time. And they need it consistently.
It's a lot, right? Like, think about there's nothing James Worthy said that's wrong. Worthy saying, hey, if you're building around Luka Doncic, this is exactly what you need. You need shooters. You need good perimeter defenders. You need a lob threat. You need a bench. You need guys. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, obviously, nobody's going to be too surprised or shocked here. I think a lot of people understand what are the basics around Luka that you're going to need in order to really compete in the Western Conference. I mean, there's a lot of things he's listing down there. For me, I think here's the biggest question around Luka Doncic, and here's the biggest question about the Lakers. They have clearly not officially started building around Luka. Okay. When's that going to happen? Is that happening this summer? Is it happening next summer? When is it going to happen? Because I think most people would agree if you handed LeBron a good $35, $40 million, you clearly have not turned the page and said, hey, now is the time that you start building around LeBron or around Luka. If you gave Austin Reaves $45 million a year, you're basically saying, all right, well, we'll have Austin Reaves on this team. We're not sure if the future of Austin Reaves is going to be the right player, but this is what we have for right now, and we'll do the best we can under the circumstances. If you bring back DeAndre Ayton, it's like, okay, well, clearly I don't think Ayton's going to be your answer from a big perspective. This is more kind of a temporary thing because he's got a player option and he opted in. So, listen, doesn't mean that the Lakers don't obviously have some options here and some different ways to be creative and everything else. But James Worthy's thoughts on how to build around Luka. Shooting, playmaking, defense, and a bench. That's a lot of ish to try to figure out here over one summer. And that's a lot of stuff to obviously put around Luka Doncic to make sure that he's successful and the Lakers are successful. You know, if I ask this question, if I'm Luka Doncic and I'm watching the Lakers this summer, and I'm asking the question of, hey, do I want to play with LeBron for one more year? If I'm Luka, I'm asking the question. It's like, all right, can I do it? Sure. Is LeBron still good? Clearly, still good. Is that the long-term solution? Of course it's not. It's another kind of short-term solution. Okay, if I'm asking Luka Doncic, hey, what do you think about Austin Reaves in the backcourt with you? Sounds like they're friends. Sounds like, maybe this is something that he wants. But if you asked Luka Doncic, who's the ideal type of guard with you in the backcourt? Is he going to say Austin Reaves? I'm assuming that there's plenty of other stylistic type or players stylistically that he would say. What's the ideal type of center? Is he going to say DeAndre Ayton? Probably not. Is he going to look at the Lakers bench and say, is this the ideal bench? Probably not. So I bring all this up because I think for the Lakers right now, as we sit here and we talk about what some of their options are this summer, to me, just as big of a question is, how are you going to eventually build this thing around Luka Doncic to, obviously get some of the things that you need in order to compete? They got a long way to go. I don't know why I saw that clip on Friday. We didn't get a chance to play it. Things were busy and I had a guest on, so we didn't get a chance to, obviously get into it. But when I saw the clip, I'm like, damn, Worthy is listing. It's like a grocery list. You're like, I got $100 to spend, but I got 24 items on my list. Now you got to start prioritizing. It's like, all right, well, you know what? Scratch that off. I can't do that this summer. No, I can't do that this summer. Now we'll obviously see how creative they're able to be, but I thought that was interesting. I thought that was interesting to put it that way. And certainly from that perspective. Now, there is a list here, free agents who fit with Luka. There was a good article in basketnews.com that talks about, I think, 4 best fits around Luka Doncic, which I'm going to get to in just a second. There's also one of the quotes in there, or one of the articles, one of the players in there, which is Mitchell Robinson. There were some rumors around him again on Friday. I want to, the Mitchell Robinson thing I think could be interesting, but at the same time, I want to also be honest of there's going to be the Mitchell Robinson thing. Is that your starting center? Like, is that who you want as your starting center? So I'll come back to that in just a second. Let's see some of the comments here. A good GM's every move will somehow add value to their roster, value being a good deal that other teams would be willing to trade for. Okay, let's get another one here. Luka still needs to stay healthy. Brunson is a GOAT, man. He took a big pay cut to get this team together, and it's paying off. Isn't he on like a 25 a year? Wasn't he 4 years and 100 or something like that? Eric, can you confirm what his contract is? Because I'll tell you something. If Jalen Brunson's making 25 a year and the Lakers are about to give Austin Reaves 45 a year, good Lord. Now, listen, I get it that, okay, no, I'm off. 4 years, 156. 4 years, 156. I mean, still of great value based off of their production and how deep they've got this year. Wish more players would do what Brunson did to build a team, but it won't happen. It's harder building around Luka than it was LeBron. I agree with that. LeBron had multiple hats. LeBron, what do you need me? You need me to be a center today? Got you. You need me to orchestrate and be the free safety on defense? Got you. Want me to run point? Got you. Want me to post up? Got you. You're right about that. Definitely tougher But look who you're comparing him to. You're comparing him to arguably the greatest to ever play the game. One of the greatest, wherever you want to put him. So that's the comparison that you're making here. The comparison you're making is one of the greatest to ever play the game. Building around Luka starts with LeBron or AR off the team. Slee, I agree with Worthy. We need AR. We just don't need his $40 million plus per year contract. Rebuild that 2024 Mavs team. We could contend in the Western Conference Finals next season. Lost me. We need a Austin Reaves. At least he didn't say we need Austin Reaves. He said we need a Austin Reaves. I think a lot of these people, by the way, just assume Reaves is coming back, so that's why you see that. If Ayton opts in, it shows you Ayton's market isn't higher than $8 million. 100%. I remember, when the Lakers got him last year and he had the player option for $8 million, I'm like, if this dude's back next year at $8 million, damn, he really didn't do much this past season in order for his own sake. Forget the Lakers for a second. How about just for DeAndre Ayton? How about just for DeAndre Ayton to just have some more value for himself? I mean, Ayton can't get, I'll say this again, and I do think there's some truth to it. Guy's only 26 years old. Ayton can't get a 3-year, $35 million deal. Like, it seems like a very reasonable deal. The answer is probably not. At least that's what it's looking like right now. In that sense, Rob has been shopping at the damn Dollar Tree with free agents. Ideally, LeBron, AR, Ayton gone next season. Here in the Bay Area, the word in the street is the Warriors are really making a push for LeBron. I've seen that too. Yeah, I've seen that too. And you guys remember, this was a little over a week ago. Eric Pincus was on the show. I'm like, Eric, give me your prediction on a Reeves contract. Give me your prediction on LeBron. His prediction on LeBron was he signs with the Golden State Warriors. That was his prediction. So maybe that is something that happens. I'll come back to LeBron here in just a second. And go from there. All right. Let me see one other thing here. So Jalen Brunson makes 35 this year and 37, almost 38 million next season. I was looking at something yesterday. I'm doing my radio show and we're talking about De'Aaron Fox. Did you guys see De'Aaron Fox's numbers starting next season? My man is about to get absolutely paid. De'Aaron Fox, I think it goes from like 50, 53, 59, and then in the 60 range. And that extension kicks up or starts next season. He's got a 4-year deal coming that's 220, maybe something. I mean, it's an absurd number. So it's not this comes with the territory. Guys are going to get overpaid, so we all know that. Okay, a couple last things here on Ayton, and then we'll keep moving. Ayton is properly valued at $8 million. No more Ayton. Ayton can stay, but he needs to be back up to a real contender. All right, let's keep moving here. So one of the other topics, free agents who fit with Luka. So there's a story out there on basketnews.com, Lakers free agency targets, 4 best fits around Luka Doncic. So I just want to kind of give everyone an idea of some of the names that are being mentioned. Quentin Grimes is one of those names being mentioned. By the way, I don't mind Quentin Grimes. I mean, is that going to be a complete game changer? The pricing sounds high to me. I think they have in the article $16 to $20 million is the annual range. Is probably what he's going to be receiving in the market. So just something to keep in mind there. There's the Mitchell Robinson piece that keeps getting mentioned. Here's my only thing, and I saw this I saw this on Friday as well. Jake Fisher, part of the Stein Report, has been on the show before, probably about over a year ago or so. Teams regularly relay to me when I've asked around about Mitchell Robinson's status have pointed to the Bulls, the Hornets, the Lakers, and the Raptors. Those are all the clubs known to be looking for a center as far as upgrades go. So there's another name that's mentioned around the Lakers in Mitchell Robinson. Let me just go through the list here, and then we'll come back to this. Kelly Oubre Jr., we've seen that name before, so we've talked about it. Ayo Dosunmu is also mentioned. He was part of the Chicago Bulls, went to the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's more of, obviously a guard, speed, toughness, some playmaking. Those are 4 players that are in this article that are talking about what would be good fits around Luka Doncic. Let me just say, of all these names, to be honest with you, I think a Kelly Oubre Jr., just a role player, if you can get this dude on your team and just have a wing player that could play defense, athletic, and everything else, I think could be a good fit. Dosunmu, listen, if Austin Reaves is there, you have another kind of scoring guard. I don't know if that's the answer for the Lakers. I'm not that he's a bad player. He's not. I think he's a nice player, but he's also about to get some money in the open market. The one thing that I will say about the Mitchell Robinson thing, I'm watching him play. Obviously in the finals, we're watching him play in this run. I'm not telling you that Mitchell Robinson can't be a good fit for the Lakers, but that's not your starting center for the future. Like, again, I just don't think Mitchell Robinson all of a sudden is going to answer all your questions that this is the guy. First off, the guy shoots 35% from the free throw line. Teams are going to eventually put him at the free throw line, and I don't know how much that had an effect in yesterday's game, but I know in game 2, the Spurs were very strategic with how to get Mitchell Robinson and basically take him out of the game anytime there was foul trouble. He's a nice player. He's a workhorse. He's a roll up my sleeves and I'll grind for you for as many minutes as you need. But is that the guy? Like that's supposed to be your starting center for the future? I don't see that. Now, if you told me he's a backup center for you, which is what he is for the New York Knicks, like don't forget here, the Knicks, they have Mitchell Robinson, but he's used as a backup center. Eric, check something yesterday's game. I don't even think the guy played 10 minutes yesterday. And I don't know what he's averaging in the finals. You can look, Eric, look at the first 3 games and see how many minutes he's played. Again, I like the guy. But every time I hear people talking about Mitchell Robinson, it sounds like he's not Hakeem. Let's pump the brakes here a little bit on Mitchell Robinson. Again, nice player, can play a nice role for the Lakers. I think he could help the Lakers. But as far as the cost, and that certainly is not your future, center in the NBA, even though I think he would be a nice center for the Lakers. That's somebody that I think could really give you some good minutes off the bench, or you're very strategic with. But, I got a difficult time thinking that that's the future center for the Lakers. Again, I think he could help the Lakers. But how much resources would go to Mitchell Robinson, and is this the player that you think is going to be there for the future? Let's see what some of his minutes are. 7 minutes last night, 5 points, also had 4 rebounds. Let's see, averaging 11 minutes a game in the finals. And maybe that has to do with, obviously the guy's obviously he's a tough, let's just say a tough SOB. The fact that the guy's playing through the injury and everything else, I don't think anybody questions that. But I just think there's been a lot made about Mitchell Robinson that could be a nice player for the Lakers. But he ain't obviously your future center, and he's not the player that I think you're going to ride all the way to the NBA Finals. And look how the New York Knicks are using him very strategically, spot minutes, averaging 11 minutes in the finals. Karl Anthony Towns is your starting center. They're using him strategically, and I think that's how Mitchell Robinson would have to be used if he came to the Lakers. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. He's just a big body. You're going to need that in today's game. Yeah, listen, I don't mind that at all. I don't mind having him in a rotation, but, obviously this is not the guy that you're saying, that's our starting center for the next 3 to 5 years. Let's get some more in here. Would it be wise, you think, to wait for the summer of 2027? Snatch Peyton Watson restricted, Tyrese and Quentin Grimes, or Dean Wade, guys like that around Luka to compete in the West. Yeah, that's the one thing that I think will be interesting this summer because you're obviously trying to convince Luka Doncic and convince fans and everything else like, hey, no, we're always trying to compete. But if there are things that you just don't feel like you can do this summer, I get it. I understand it. If you feel like I'm going to play a clip here from Charles Barkley, which is talking about LeBron, which I think is, kind of ties into everything that we're talking about here. Yeah, maybe this summer is not the summer that you can take kind of a big leap here. Let's get some more in here. Robinson would be horrible. He can't hit a free throw to save his life, not a starter. I don't think he's horrible. Again, I just think people got to set proper expectations. Let's see. Grimes fits better than Austin. DeAndre can go play for the Bulls for probably 12 to 15 mil. Yeah, wherever he ends up, he's going to end up somewhere where, obviously he's not the key focal point or anything along those lines. And to be honest with you, I thought he was okay for the Lakers this year. I really did. I didn't think I think the fact that the Lakers weren't obviously paying him $30 plus million or something along those lines made it a lot easier to swallow. But I also think there were a lot of people that, just weren't crazy about the experience with him. Let's see. We got Lakers need wing shooters and defenders. Centers are not their number one priority. The only thing I will tell you is when Luka was in Dallas, he needed those two lob threats. Those two lob threats were perfect for him. So I do think they need a legit lob threat. Seen this name a lot. Nick Claxton, obviously that name has been there for a while, but nothing has happened. Okay, I want to keep moving here. Let me play something here real quick because I think this tells a little bit of a story as well. I think we got sound on this, right? The Charles Barkley stuff. Eric, is this sound or is it just let me see what we have here. Yeah, it should be. Or actually, no, I don't think it is. Charles Barkley was talking about LeBron, and listen, everybody has an opinion, obviously, on LeBron. Everybody has an opinion on LeBron. Eric, tell me real quick because it was frozen. Sound or no sound? Just thumbs up or thumbs down? Okay. Let's play this here real quick on Charles Barkley on LeBron. This is on Get Up, and just listen to what Charles Barkley's opinion is of what LeBron should do. And I think this kind of goes along the lines of some of the different things we're talking about here in regards to how the Lakers are building out their roster. Take a listen. He's with Mike Breen.
LeBron only has one play, in my opinion, and that's to go back to Cleveland. That's his only smart, logical choice. Go back and finish his career with the Cavs. It's a perfect fix. They'll probably be the favorite in the East or in that conversation. It doesn't do him any good to stay in LA. Because number one, they're not going to be competitive in the West. And also, it's time for the Lakers to turn the team over to Luka.
Can you pause it right there?
LeBron's not going to play better.
All right, I want to play the rest of this clip, but what he said right there. It's time for the Lakers to turn the team over to Luka. I think Barkley says something there where he's not trying to be disrespectful to LeBron. It's not like, hey, you're washed, any of that stuff. I think the way Barkley is talking, there's a little bit of let's find a solution for everybody. And if one of the solutions could be, all right, LeBron wants to compete for a championship, maybe goes back to his old city where he already won an NBA championship. And they would be, listen, if that's you're asking, I don't think LeBron's going to do this. Is LeBron going to take the minimum? I don't think he's going to do that. If he did, then sure, the Cleveland Cavaliers would be a much better team with LeBron on there and trying to help all these guys do something that none of them have accomplished, which is win at the highest level. Okay, we've talked a little bit about this as well. Let's say LeBron actually wants to get paid. You got to do some type of sign and trade. I think a lot of Laker fans would welcome the opportunity to go get a Jared Allen or an Evan Mobley. I don't think Mobley would be on the market, but probably more of a Jared Allen. But the one thing that he said right there, he said, it's time for the Lakers to turn the team over to Luka. That to me, I thought was an interesting comment. That's an interesting statement that at the end of the day, you're still kind of holding on the keys. It's like, Luka, it's sort of yours. No, you know what? It's LeBron's. He's out. Is this? You're not fully handing the keys over to Luka Doncic. And that's the point that Barkley's trying to make there. Let's keep playing here.
As he gets older, the Lakers got swept. Even if they had Luka, they're not a contender in the West. They're not going to compete with the Spurs. They're not going to compete with OKC or the Minnesota Timberwolves with a 42-year-old guy. They're not going to be competitive. It's between OKC and the Spurs for the next 10 years in the West. That's it. So if he stays in LA, he's doing it for off-the-court reasons. But if he goes back to the Cavs, where I believe he shouldn't have never left in the first place, the Cavs would probably be the favorite in the East. And that to me is his only logical choice.
All right, that's Charles Barkley right there. Kind of an interesting clip to get, like I said, everything that you get from that piece. There were some articles over the weekend, Silver Screen and Roll, evaluating all of LeBron James' contract options in free agency, ways for him to get a max contract, way for him to be below the max, what teams would be available, non-taxpayer mid-level exceptions, which I think in that regard, is the Warriors in that one? I think the Warriors can get there. I don't think they're on this list, but I think the Warriors can get there. So, no, that's a taxpayer mid-level exception, but I think they can make, eventually make more than that. So there's Charles Barkley's kind of thoughts on some different ways for LeBron to look at this summer. I've said this, and, I'd be surprised if Austin Reaves not a Laker. I'd be surprised if LeBron's not a Laker. So whatever a lot of the conversations about wherever people go with this topic, it's fine. It's all good. But I'll say what I've kind of said from the beginning. I would be surprised if both of those players are not Los Angeles Lakers when the dust settles. I'm not telling you that's the smartest idea or the best idea or gives the Lakers the best chance to go try to compete for an NBA championship. I'm just telling you that's what I think is going to happen. All right, we'll read some of these comments here. Then I want to play something back from the Run It Back TV crew about Austin Reaves. We'll get into NBA stories, and then we'll call it a day. Let's see what people are saying here. You can make an argument that it is more important to sign Rui than to sign Reaves. Luka needs knockdown shooting and spacing. Rui is way more complimentary in that regard. You're not wrong there, but here's the one thing that I will tell you. What I will tell you is who has more value. Reaves, I think, will have more value when the dust settles. His upside is going to be higher than Rui's upside. That's coming off Rui, having a tremendous playoff series, but there's a difference between somebody who can play make and somebody that can spot up and hit jumpers. And, obviously that's what Rui does. And I'm not trying to go at Rui or anything like that. I think Rui had a tremendous playoff run. But if you're looking at value, now somebody could make the argument, yeah, but Al, what if he signs for $45 million a year? Doesn't that hurt Austin Reaves' value? Yeah, if he doesn't live up to that contract, certainly starts hurting him a little bit. Let's get another one here. I don't understand why people want to do a sign and trade. Doesn't AR have to agree on a trade? He has all the leverage. The sign and trade I was talking about was LeBron, not AR. But yes, that's been brought up as well. AR he's a free agent. The man can make a decision of where he plays. So, but it can still happen based off of the Lakers trying to find the right partner and Austin Reaves saying to himself, yeah, you know what? Maybe the Lakers don't want me here. Maybe it's time for me to move on. I can go get paid somewhere else. And this is, I'm more of a focal point. I don't know if you want to put it that way. Again, I don't think he's going anywhere. Allen 6'9" and light in the ace. I'll pass unless we get Mobley. No Cleveland trade. see what we got here. They need to, or we could lose Luka too. It's already Luka's team. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's Luka's team. It's his franchise. LeBron's still here. I mean, we're talking LeBron James. He's going to get all the headlines. He's still box office, 23rd year in the NBA. I mean, yes, it's Luka's team-ish. LeBron's still here. I don't think we could ignore that. Okay, last thing I want to play here real quick, and we'll just play a little bit of this. Last week we spent some time. We were talking to Bobby Marks, and we were going over all these different options for the Lakers. And I asked him pretty bluntly, if he thinks Austin Reaves is a max player. And he says, personally, I don't think he's a max player. This was a conversation that was being had. And to be honest with you, I think most people agree with this, but we could take a listen to them. Take a listen here. The Run It Back TV crew, which is Lou Williams, Chandler Parsons, Boogie Cousins is on there. Michelle Beadle is on there as well. Take a listen to their kind of conversation back and forth on AR.
I'm not buying it.
Okay.
The Los Angeles Lakers, they try to hang banners, right? And Luka is your guy. Austin Reaves is a really great player, all-star caliber player, but they got to ask themselves, is he the guy in this environment in the NBA right now to be able to pair with Luka to get them to prominence in the Western Conference like everybody else? And what's that willing to cost them? I don't know if they take that chance. I don't know if he gets them over a championship hump and to be there for the max contract. I want everybody to get their money, but I'm not sure the Los Angeles Lakers are the team that's going to cut this check.
Yeah, I'm with Lou on this one. I love Luka. I respect his game. Austin Reaves had an unbelievable season, exceeded all expectations. His entire story is insane. When you pay both of those two guys, is it enough in that Western Conference that we just talked about that the Warriors with LeBron would have trouble with? I don't think it is, but like Lou said, I hope he gets the max. And even if it's not in LA, guys should maximize this window where they can get the most money possible. And I'd rather him go somewhere else and get the max and take a discount for the Lakers if I'm Austin Reaves, because he deserved that.
I like
this
that.
season.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
I agree
your
with
money.
I agree with the guys as far as I want this guy to get paid. Individually, I think he's a max contract talent. Team-wise, when you put him next to Luka, I don't think it makes sense.
It really doesn't.
So, I mean, that's just the facts of it. I think we've seen an example of that this season. I just don't see it working out long term.
Bro.
All right, we stop right there. Yeah, so I think a lot of people, and listen, these are, I will tell you this, Chandler Parsons, Lou Williams, and Boogie Cousins, they're talking about it from a player perspective. They want him to get paid. They want him to get as much as he possibly can. They're looking out for, another NBA player. But I think the question of, hey, am I building around Austin Reaves as a cornerstone to a championship roster and giving him $45 million a year? There's a part of I want to get the player. I want the player to get paid. And then there's also would I do this if I'm a business owner? Is that where I want my assets to go? And I think they're all kind of on a similar page. That's like with the Lakers, they don't think that would obviously be the case. So you guys know how I feel about this. I've already told you guys that I think it's going to be really hard for the Lakers to compete if they're paying 200 change to Austin Reaves, even though I know that they got to bring him back so that they eventually keep that asset. Okay, we're going to look at some of your comments. We got some NBA news to get into as well. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Let's give a quick shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Shout out to everybody that has been a part of this channel now for a number of years, and you've seen Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, obviously a big sponsor, a big advertiser here. And shout out to a handful of people that have listened to me talk about they're the best in the business, serious injury, wrongful death case. If you, family member, or friend are in a situation, reach out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, or you can reach out to me. People have done that. So I appreciate people trusting my word on this and trusting that if you are in a predicament or a situation and you don't know what to do and you're looking for an injury attorney, there's only one to go to. It's Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. It's wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go to that website, get an absolutely free consultation. He could help anybody in the state of California. And I'm always available if you want to hit me up with an email. I'm happy to make an introduction. which I've done in the past as well for our listeners. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa, or you can hit me up with an email, allensliwa@gmail.com. Happy to make an intro. All right, let's get to final couple of things here to do on the show before we call it a Tuesday. Kind of weird. Feels like a Monday, but it's a Tuesday. Didn't do a show yesterday, but we're making it happen today. A couple things around the NBA I'm going to point out real quick. Hawks, Quinn Snyder, they agreed to a multi-year extension. So Quinn Snyder comes back to the Atlanta Hawks. Remember, they were up 2-1 against the New York Knicks and then got basically blown out 3 games in a row. But listen, Atlanta, what are really the expectations there? So let them do their thing. They traded away Trae Young. They are trying to kind of build for the future. They got some good young players. So I think it's going to be fun to kind of see what they're able to do. Quinn Snyder gets an extension over there. The only other real NBA news that I saw, here, I'll try to look here, see if there's anything else. The only other, this is one of the ones. Sam Presti did a presser yesterday. Kind of interesting. You know, Sam Presti, obviously one of the, if not the best general manager in all of basketball, really went out of his way to defend Chet Holmgren, which I don't blame him. That's his guy. Kind of gave a lot of his opinion about what it was like losing in the Western Conference Finals. Just a lot of interesting stuff that I felt came from Sam Presti. What did he say about Chet Holmgren that he was defending? Let's see what we got here. This is a guy that is... he's talking about Chet Holmgren. Intrinsically, I can't even pronounce it, motivated. He doesn't need people questioning him or things on the internet to drive his improvement. He doesn't need somebody to nudge him. He doesn't need somebody to question him. It's just kind of how he's wired. So I'm not really that concerned about him talking about Chet Holmgren. I mean, a lot of the offseason right now is going to be about, obviously Chet Holmgren. He said this about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's playing against 6 people. He has 5 defenders, and the 6th defender is social media. It's a reality. He's not going to be the last player that the machine decides to target, but nobody is going to handle it as gracefully. So he did everything he can, obviously, defend the Oklahoma City Thunder, as he should. And of course, the Oklahoma City Thunder are not going to overreact to losing to the San Antonio Spurs. They'll be back. They'll be back next year, and they'll be as much of a headache as anybody, and they'll probably be one of favorites to win an NBA championship. AR and Rui are both good players, but neither are starters on a championship contender. We need athletic, two-way players, and that is what both players are lacking, so I'll pass on both. Pelinka needs to go. He seems so content making excuses. I want Reaves to get paid too, just not on the Lakers. Lakers need a cost-effective contract next to Luka like Grimes or Ayo, like we mentioned a little bit earlier. And then last one here, Lakers should get Isaiah Hartenstein if OKC can't pay him. He's an unrestricted free agent. All right. Good stuff, everybody. Back on tomorrow. Getting us ready for what is tomorrow going to be Game 4. Probably going to have a guest on for the NBA Finals. We'll continue to obviously find Laker stories and Laker topics. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, help us get to 36,000 subscribers. Hopefully here, not too long in the future, we get it to up to 40,000 subscribers. Thank you for being a part of the show. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see everybody tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.